Hello, welcome to the online Bio 103 course. So glad to have you taking this course. I wanted to show you the Eagle Canvas course site, walk you through, and give you some tips that I hope will help you throughout the semester. So what we're looking at right now is we are looking at the main Bio 103 homepage. On Eagle Canvas, this will change weekly. I'll try to always have information that is important, some tips and tricks for the module or the specific lecture slides that we're going through. So check back check back to this main page weekly, check back regularly, because this is sort of the updated communication page. On this main page, I will have consistent advice that will stay here throughout the semester. So you'll see in red, I have the advice, clear your browser history and your cookies weekly. That is so crucial for our Canvas Eagle software. If we don't clear our browser history and cookies weekly, the software loses functions. This class relies heavily on images, and one of the things that many of you may find if you're not clearing browser history and cookies is that you can't see things. So make sure you're clearing your browser history and cookies every week. That way Canvas and Eagle will work well. You won't have as many glitches. I know every PC is different and sometimes things go weird, but clearing browser history and cookies is one way to make sure the software works well. If you don't know how to clear browser history or cookies, stop by my office hours. I can show you in about 5 minutes or less. Reach out to the RVC IT team. This is just one of those maintenance things that we have to do in order for our software to work. On this main page, I will always have upcoming due dates to keep you focused. I know there's a lot of things that we're doing in this class, so I'd like to make sure that we've got something focused here on the main page for every week. The other thing that stays consistent is I will have my office location and my hours always posted on this main page. I'll also have a little giggle, a little joke that ties in with what we are covering. I think it's important to smile and laugh, even when some things are getting really serious and really heavy. One thing I do want to say about office hours, if you want to stop by and see me, which I strongly encourage you to do, please make sure to send me an email with the time and date when you would like to stop by. Then I can set aside that hour and dedicate it to you. I know it can be really frustrating if you come to campus and you find that my office is full, students are already there, you've made the extra time, and yet I'm preoccupied, I have other people that I'm meeting with. But by sending me an email, by dedicating that time slot, I can make sure that I've got it available for you. We could also do a Zoom meeting. It doesn't have to be in person. Just make sure that we've got that connection. I can set aside that dedicated time for you and make sure I can give you the attention that you need. All right. So on our Eagle course site, the place I think you'll be coming most often is clicking on modules. This course is arranged into modules. And so when you click on modules, make sure to expand it. I'm going to scroll down to Unit 1, since Unit 1 is what most of our modules will look like. In our modules, you will see a set of lecture slides. The lecture slides correlate or are connected to textbook chapters, but our textbook for this class is, well, it lacks a bit, so our lecture slides are going to provide that information that's not found in the textbook, or it will help us to clarify things. Sometimes the textbook goes off into directions that are just not as important. So our lecture slides are going to be absolutely crucial. I'm going to click on this first set of lecture slides. And you can see that the Eagle Canvas software will show me these lecture slides, but this is not the way that I want you to view them. What we found is that sometimes Eagle or Canvas won't show us everything. So it's best to go to this blue link at the top of our box here. Click on that, download and play our lecture slides. So when I download the lecture slides and play them, I'm going to take notes as if I were sitting in a face-to-face lecture class. And I know that that feels kind of weird. You know, everything is here. Everything is in the lecture slides. Why would I write all this down? And the reason why I encourage you to write things down is because there's just something about that physicality. We've got neuroscientists and psychologists and educators. We're all trying to figure out what it is, why so many of us seem to need to write things down, why so many of us seem to need to say things out loud. Whatever it is that's happening inside of our brains, inside of our cellular connections, this is what so many of us need. So I encourage you, as you are working through these lecture slides, as you are playing them, that you are writing things down in your notebook, taking notes, maybe even talking to the screen, talking to the room, even though it feels weird to talk to yourself. Say things out loud, interact, try to engage as much as you can. And that's incredibly important because this is an asynchronous class. You're most of the time going to be doing things alone, trying to complete things by their due date. And I know that that can feel weird and feel kind of isolating. So try to engage with this as much as possible. So when you play the lecture slides, click on slideshow and start from the beginning, clicking through those lecture slides. With every set of lecture slides, I'm going to have a set of review questions. By the end of these lecture slides, you should be able to answer these review questions in deep detail. Please don't be superficial. So let's take a look at question 3. What are the steps of the scientific method? You could be superficial and just say, observation, hypothesis, experiment, communication, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not going to help. You know that there are more details associated with that, especially when it comes to the experiment, where you need to know the definition and have examples of independent variables, dependent variables, control variables. Make sure you go into deep detail when you're answering review questions. Otherwise, the review questions won't help. Okay, so you're going to download and play lecture slides, skim the textbook chapter. The other thing that you will see is that for every set of lecture slides, I have videos. So we go back to our modules and our Unit 1. Here is our Science and Life video. What I've done is create videos that go into depth with specific concepts. So this being a science class, it is absolutely crucial that you know the scientific method and the characteristics of life. So this is why I have a video. I am communicating to you the core concept, the core information that you absolutely need to take away, that you need to have solid in your head. Now, I will want to warn you, the videos are casual. I recorded them at home. Every semester, I debate whether I want to make them more professional. One of the reasons why I haven't redone them is because so many students have said that they've enjoyed the videos. They like the authenticity. They enjoy seeing the cats come in and their goofiness. I write on a dry erase board, so it feels a little bit like being in a lecture hall, but it feels less formal, and a lot of people like that. So it may not work for you, and I apologize if it does. I know for a lot of people it does work really well. So I'm keeping the videos. Please know that they're short, and they're meant to communicate really important concepts that I hope that you understand and you know really well. So we've got some videos associated with each set of lecture slides. For every set of lecture slides, there will be a practice assignment. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Practice for Science and Life lecture slide so you can see what that's about. So once you've skimmed the chapter, you've taken your notes, you've watched the videos. Now you should feel prepared to practice the concepts, test yourself, see what you're learning and what's sticking, and maybe things that aren't sticking. So I've got my instructions here about the practice assignment. You'll click on Take the Quiz. And this is where I have to say, Eagle Canvas, it gives me such limited possibilities. When I build an assignment, I have to call everything a quiz. Whether it's an exam, a practice, a homework, everything in Eagle is a quiz. So this is not a true quiz. With practice assignments, you get 2 attempts. With practice assignments, you could go in, answer a few questions, leave, come back later, answer a few more questions. Still has to be done by the due date, but you don't have to do it all in one session. With practice assignments, you can use your notes, you can use your friends, you can use Google, you can use all the resources available to try and answer the questions. Essentially, this is just your chance to start to practice the concepts that you learned in the lecture slides and the textbook chapter. Let's go back to modules. When we go back to modules, here we see our lecture slides, we see our videos, and our practice assignment. Sometimes we're going to have an extra homework assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this extra homework assignment, the scientific method application. The reason why we have this extra homework is because this concept is so important. So I only assign extra homework when I know that something is a core concept that other people are going to expect you to know and will take for granted once you have completed this class. So here again, we see the instructions. This is just a homework assignment, so it's still lower stakes. It is not timed. You can see that up here where it says time limit none. And even though Canvas Eagle says take the quiz, it is just a series of questions. It is not a true quiz. So let's go back to our modules and see what a true quiz looks like. I'm going to click on the quiz 1, Science and Life, and this also includes some of the welcome module information. I've tried to distinguish true quizzes by calling it QZ or quiz. So I'm trying to communicate to you that this is a true quiz. It is meant to be a mini exam. We have a time limit. We've got 30 minutes to complete 12 questions. Note that I've got the information here that once you click start, you have to complete this quiz all in one session. You can't leave and return, leave and return. Once that timer is started, the timer keeps ticking regardless of what happens. So make sure you've got 30 minutes dedicated. Most of you will only take 12 minutes. Most students only spend 1 minute per question. Note that I've got the information here that I want you to treat this like a mini exam. If you treat this like a mini exam and study everything in the Science and Life lecture slides and practice assignment, if you have all the vocabulary memorized, if you've done those review questions, when you sit for this quiz, the quiz can work like a tool that we intend for it to be. Quizzes send you information about what you know and what you don't know, so please make sure to use it like a tool. Study for it. If you do it that way, it'll be effective and help build you up for the exam. Each unit will have an exam. When it comes time for the exam, you will have this information about when it opens and when it closes. Exams are timed as well, and you'll have more information posted on the Eagle homepage as we get closer to our first exam. But you can click on it and read through these directions at any point. I'm going to go back to modules so you can see all of the resources available for our module. We build from lecture slides to practice, homework, quizzes, and then our big exam. Some other places you may want to go on the Eagle course site. You may want to click on assignments. It shows you all the things that we are doing for this class, but in a slightly different format. You can also click on quizzes to access the work that we're doing for this class as well. Again, you can see that information in a slightly different format. I think most of you will click on modules. To find our longer syllabus, you can look to your email attachment, or you can click on it here, the syllabus button, and here is your document. You can click on people to reach out to other individuals in this class. It will give you their email address. And then, of course, I hope that you will keep track of the grades. The other place I'd like to show you before we end today is the announcements. So I've got some interesting information that I post here that you may like to note. For those of you looking for paid internships, come to this REU announcement, especially as we get closer to spring and the due dates start to come. You may want to look for paid internships for next year. And the other place you may want to look is the Community Foundation Northern Illinois scholarships. Most of their deadlines will be next spring, but they do have scholarships available this fall, so I encourage you to come here if you're interested in scholarships. And then our Life Science Resource Room. I'm going to go ahead and open that announcement. Our Life Science Resource Room is in the JCSM Science and Math building. We have computers and printers, and we have sometimes tutors available. I will be posting the hours when that room is available. I strongly encourage you to go there. There's also textbooks, and if you're taking any of the labs, there's some lab supplies, microscopes, and slides, and all kinds of lot of anatomy and physiology students will be there all semester long. So I encourage you to go to the Life Science Resource Room. As a science student, you have access to that. I'll be posting those hours soon. Well, this has been a fast overview of the course. I welcome you to the course. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me for help, tips, tricks, and advice. I hope that we have a successful semester, and I hope to see you at week 16.